What's happening, everybody? It's goddamn weekend time. Let's do this shit. It's your boy Stoney coming to you live from the TCM Museum of Minnesota. Of course, this is a Space Corps podcast. What up, everybody? Hope you're having a great fucking start to the weekend here, baby. Let's get her going. As always, we are brought to you by none other than the wonderful people at Slasher Stashers. Go join the fucking group if you aren't a part of that right now. They're almost hitting the 4,000 member mark right now. Everything buy, sell, trade, rage community, beautiful shit. Sean Fuller, Michelle Zamora, they're amazing people. Make sure you guys check that shit out. Lots of good stuff going on there, man. They always got some dope fucking auctions, razzles, everything going on there. Check those guys out. And of course, Half Moon Designs is our other counterpart here. That's Ann McDonald from the Shit Show page. And she's always slanging that dope stuff, dude. So make sure you get yourself some of these high-end backpacks, wallets, all the dope stuff like that. And if you do go to her Shopify, make sure you use the promo code Space Corps at checkout. You're gonna get 10% off your entire order. That's pretty sexy. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm fucking pretty pumped about this one. We got another great guest on for tonight. We've got this is something new, and it's gonna really it's hit me right in the heartstrings because I'm a dude who loves to fucking eat, and spicy shit is the name of the game here. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ryan from Horrifying Hot Sauce. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You can hear me all right now. All right. Fucking sweet, man. And am I frozen on your end still, or are we all right?
Yeah, no, you're still frozen, but I can hear you fine, so whatever.
Well, everybody can see you and hear you, so
right.
Once again, lucky you for not having to stare at my stupid ass. So,
I'm still staring at you. You're just frozen. So,
oh my god. Well, first of all, sir, these hot sauce bottles that I got from you, the fucking artwork and everything that you do is absolutely amazing on it. Are these all your designs, or do you have a team of people?
Yeah.
Or
no, I'm the only employee of my company. So, I do the artwork, I do the sauces, I do the website, if you come out to an event, I'm most likely the person selling you the sauce, unless my friend Daisy's helping me out or my kid's helping me out. Other than that, yeah. And they're volunteers, so yep, I am the only employee.
How long have you been doing it for? At least like in this format.
So as a official company, I launched a year ago on Halloween, so I'm like a year and a half in. But I've been making hot sauce like this since about either 2018 or beginning of 2019, somewhere in there.
That's so. Do you grow your own peppers and stuff too? Like what started you in it?
What started me in it, honestly, was I was trying to start a brewery. And so I was living in San Antonio, I was starting a brewery. My partner, unfortunately, his life got too complicated to be part of it anymore. And then I was like, I don't want to do this by myself. So I was like, what else can I do with the stuff I've learned? And then I found out about fermented hot sauce, and I've always liked spicy food. I've grown hot peppers for years. So I just made a hot sauce out of just the random peppers that were growing in my garden. And it wasn't horrible. So I, from there, started really looking into what makes fermented hot sauce and how does that work. And being as I had brewed beer, and specifically sour beer, it's the same or a very similar fermentation process as lactobacillus. And the cool thing about fermented hot sauce is the yeast is just, it lives on everything. So you don't actually have to buy yeast like you do as a brewer. So
Okay.
that's nice. but yeah, so I learned about this other process and I started messing with it, and I really enjoyed like the way they turned out. And after one or two iterations, I was getting like sauces that I thought were really good that would be as good as anything I was buying in the store. So I started taking that knowledge I had from the brew and the beers, in addition to just I've been the cook in my house, my whole life. So, my general like culinary knowledge and kind of putting them together and coming up with some recipes that were not bad, and then I would iterate through them. So I would make a recipe, try it out, and be like, okay, this needs whatever it needs, and then make a second version, and then a third version, and then just do it and do it until I got the recipe down to what I wanted. Um, and from there, I found that I actually had some hot sauces that people enjoyed. So started putting those together, and then a few years back, I think it was also 2020, Christmas of 2019, I got an iPad for Christmas, and I had, I've been like an artist my whole life, but never like an artist that got paid for it. So just like I like drawing stuff.
Uh-huh.
But then I got this iPad and I started messing around with Procreate and digital painting, and I found like I really enjoyed this. So it gave me an opportunity to put the two together. And then I've been obviously a film person my whole life as well. Specifically love horror. So I was like, I could put these together. So I started taking horror movies that I really enjoy, for the most part, more independent stuff, because that's been my thing for a long time, but just horror in general. And then putting it together with some artwork, putting that together with some hot sauce, and then you end up with those things you have on your table there. So
It's so cool, like when you figure out shit that like all of these common elements of things that you enjoy and like, and then all of a sudden
right,
in like literally you have it as like a tangible good in your hand now, and people
yeah,
like I mean, it's another form of art, right? I mean, it's not only like the label presentation, but the actual the recipe that went into it and everything.
mm-hmm.
It's fucking sweet, dude. And
Thanks, man.
here's one thing that like I like to give you like really good props on about this is that you can, I mean, hot sauces, you can go to like you go to like New Orleans or something, they got like a hot sauce shop and there's like 50,000 bottles, but they all
Right.
taste like ass. It's just like, to me, when I was a younger kid, I would eat the hottest shit possible just because it was kind of like, I don't know, like not a macho thing, but right, you're just like, I'll eat the hottest
Sure.
shit, whatever. Well, nowadays, I mean, you gotta be, to me, it's got to be worth it for the pain,
Mm-hmm.
especially on the the next day type of shit. Where it's like,
Right.
dude, if
Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna fucking just scorch myself, like it's got to taste good. It's got to have
Right.
something more than that. Because some of those ones are just, I mean, God, they're the most terrible tasting things. Like
Yeah.
they're made just for pain, and it's just like,
Exactly.
you know,
And
or
that's not
or
my thing at all.
or it's just made
Um,
for like a goofy label, right? Just to make
Right,
people laugh.
right. Ass blaster or whatever,
Yeah,
silly
dude.
name you want to call it, right? Yeah, a lot of those you look at the ingredients and it's like capsaicin extract and it's chemicals, chemicals, chemicals just to
Yeah,
make it as hot as possible. That's the exact opposite of what I'm doing with my sauces. So, um, I love spicy food, but I love flavor too. I don't want anything that's hot just to be hot. So
sure.
even my sauces that are NC-17, because I use so PG, PG-13, R, and NC-17 are my ratings. Even the NC-17 sauces are going to be flavor first before they hurt you,
Yeah,
but they will probably hurt you. Um, but I'm not here to do the bomb. I'm not here to do the
yeah.
sauce that tastes like crap but is really super hot. Um, all of them, like you have an NC-17 one there, the National
Yes.
Bowling Tournament in Hawaii. I mean, that is full of pineapple and a bunch of really great peppers. No extracts, no emulsifiers, no preservatives. I don't put any of that stuff in there. So, like, when you read the label, you can read all of the stuff that's in it. I don't add sugar to cover chemical flavors. If there's sugar in there, it's just because I want the sauce sweeter.
Yeah.
So and I've said this to a lot of people. Like, I love horror movies, and I'm totally fine with gory movies, but I don't like movies that are gory just to be gory, and I
Uh-huh.
don't like hot sauces that are hot just to be hot.
Sure.
If the movie is gory and it makes me laugh, or it's gory and it makes me scared, cool. But if it's gory and it's just like, ew, that's gross, no. And same thing with hot sauces. If it's just like, oh my god, that's so hot, but I don't actually want to taste it,
Yeah.
not my thing. My favorite thing is when somebody goes, "Oh my God, that's so hot. Can I have some more?"
Right, dude.
That's my favorite response. So,
Absolutely. I feel like I'm right with you on that whole idea too. It's just like, the shock jock shit, it's just like if you're doing it just for that, and
right.
there's no story to it or there's no, whatever, it's not worth the time. There's just too much shit out there to
Exactly.
consume, movies, whatever. It's just like, I start to be a little pickier and choosier, it's just like, if I'm
Yeah.
going to spend my money or spend my time on something, I want it to be, of a certain caliber now, and I mean,
Exactly.
I don't feel that that's being snobby in any way possible, but it's just like, hey, you should have a little bit of preference.
And honestly, I mean, there's people who like the movies that are gory to be gory, and there's people who just like to, enjoy the feeling of their body freaking out because it thinks it's on fire.
Yeah.
And if that's your thing, that's cool. That's just not my thing.
So for everybody that's watching right now too, I'll be definitely putting up the links, but horrifyinghotsauce.com, right? And then there I saw
Yep.
there was another website link too, just like horrifying
Horrifying Co. But
okay.
horrifyinghotsauce.com just forwards to the other link.
Yeah.
Originally, I was trying to open a horrifying brewing company and horrifying hot sauce, so that's why Horrifying Co. was going to
Sure.
be the overlying. But then I found out how much it costs to start a brewery, and I was like, no, let's just go with hot sauce.
That might be next year's project. We'll see how this shit
Yeah,
pans
right.
out. So
Yeah.
for everybody that's watching right now too, we got a lot of people in the chat right now. Chris Atkins is here, Big Sean Fuller. I see Dungeon Duchess Megan. She says, "What up, everybody?" She says, "I love hot stuff." She wants to try all of them. I highly recommend it. Support this fucking dude. One big thing that I've always been an advocate for on this show and just in our horror communities is I absolutely love to talk about and promote artists. Especially in like a collector, a lot of us are horror, figure collectors, autograph collectors, all that type of shit. And the nice thing with the online, communities is that we have access to all these custom artists,
Mm-hmm.
mask makers, 3D printers, sculptors, all that type of shit. And I just it's so invaluable because it's what really can make your collection stick out from everybody else's. It's like we can all go to the store and go buy the same couple of,
Sure.
NECA figures that everybody has, and it just looks that. I mean, but to get something made from somebody, it's such a personal transaction back and forth where it's like you get to know the person who's making something for you. You're supporting them, I mean, you're putting money in their pockets instead of just some big
Yep.
ass company, that you don't know. I
Right.
mean, I love to tell people about, if I'm spending my money on something and I really dig it, I want everybody to know about it. It's just like, it's for the love of the community, like in that
Agreed.
aspect, and then also on the other side too, if something's shit, and I spent my money on it, I'm going to tell people too, because it's like,
Yeah.
we all work hard for our money and it's just like, dude, there's some companies out there that are just for like a money grab, and that sucks.
Yep.
But then
Yep.
people like you
Agreed.
come along like this, because I mean, shit, dude. My buddy James that works with me, he is like the hot sauce. It's really funny because so he used to work in like the office on like a project management side of we
Mm-hmm.
work for an electrical contractor, and in the office he used to have this collection of hot sauce bottles or whatever, and then we brought him into the tool shop, which is what I run. And he asked me, he goes, "Can I bring my hot sauces with?" And I go, "Yeah, no problem." Well, he basically brings in like a fucking
Nice.
wagon of like, like 50, 60 bottles, and we got them all up on
Wow.
display. And all the electricians love it because now they get to know him, and they're all bringing in extra bottles and stuff for him. And so that's where these are going to afterwards because me and him, we
Sure.
we
Cool.
knock those things out all day during lunch and whatever. So he's super pumped to try these. He's been like, "Dude, let's just try them early." I said, "Nope, we got to wait till the show happens first." And I said, then we're grilling up a ton of wings and we're gonna start having a freaking taste
Nice.
test, man.
Yeah, wings and nachos are my favorite delivery devices.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah, I love my full bodied figure because it's tied with the fucking food and I just love it, dude. It's so especially chicken wings.
I
I'm
get
such
it.
a sucker for it, man.
Yeah, man.
And just to be able to switch it up, like again, and the ingredients of some of these flavors. I mean, I'm seeing, in like so right here, Matul's hammer, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you're talking. There's blackberries in this and shit. I mean, it's just like it's so intriguing. Where you're like, when you were reading that on the website, I'm like, I want to try this. I want to try this one. I want to try this. Like, it's awesome.
And they're all fermented as well. So a lot of times you'll look at the ingredient list and you think it's going to be really sweet.
Yeah.
But a lot of that sweetness comes out in the fermentation.
Okay.
So it doesn't end up being like, the fruit salad that it sounds like it would be. Because some of my sauces really are like, I'm going to release one in the next couple months here that's literally Hawaiian fruit punch.
Really?
Yeah. It's like 7 different fruits, and it's the fruits that are in Hawaiian fruit punch. And then a special pepper that I've got. I've got a few different growers that work with me, and one up in Michigan has a pepper he's developed called the blood punch. So we're going to make a Hawaiian blood punch sauce. So I made the test batch. I'm just waiting for some of the fruits to come into season so that I can make the actual large batch. So because I need guava, passion fruit, and peach, and all this crazy stuff.
That's awesome. The blood punch pepper. That's named after what it does to you.
He has developed the blood punch pepper, and it's a black pepper with red highlights. It's crazy looking, and it's got really nice heat and some really nice flavor. So we're gonna put that together. Like I said, that one I'm gonna make as soon as the fruits are available to make it. So
that's awesome.
Hopefully next month or two we'll see that one up on the website.
Well, do you also post like on like Facebook pages and social media stuff too for all like the new products coming out?
I do. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads, all at Horrifying Hot Sauce.
Cool.
I'm on all 4 of those. And I try to keep them up. Blue Sky doesn't connect with everything else, so I don't keep up with that one as well. But Instagram and Facebook for sure. If you follow me on those, I post when I'm making stuff, when I'm bottling it. Most of my batches are between 40 and 60 bottles per batch. So, I mean, we're talking real small batches here. So I'll post when they're available, and then sometimes they're gone in a week. So.
Do you ever go back and make the same batch again, like by popular demand, or?
Oh, for sure. I most of my sauces I make over and over again. It's just I don't know when I'll make that one again. It depends on when the specific ingredients are available. There's some sauces that are kind of like a one-time only thing. Like here, I'll show you. I made for my first anniversary a sauce with all white peppers called Ain't Afraid.
Oh, cool.
So it's a white hot sauce with jicama and dragon fruit and lychee. So all white fruits, all white peppers.
Whoa.
I won't make this again, at least not exactly the same, because this is a first anniversary one-time thing. As you can see, I also wax my NC-17 bottles.
Yes.
You can choose to get them unwaxed if you prefer to not have them that way.
Uh-huh.
But most of my bottles I will make again. So like right now I'm getting ready to make another batch of Linnea's lipstick, which is Linnea Quigley's official hot sauce.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So Linnea from Night of the Demons is probably, one of her biggest roles are Return of the Living Dead. She's trash.
Yep.
We got together and she wanted something that was watermelon and raspberry and super hot. So that's what this is. But I have to wait till there's fresh watermelons to be able to make it again.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
that's excellent. Have you sorry.
Like I said, it's fine. Most of it, does get made again and again. I have about 6 that I call my year round, and I make those all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then all my other ones are just kind of as I have the ingredients, I make them. So
I think that to me is like so much more fun where, you can't always just go and buy something, right? So it's more of like a, it's like a seasonal, like a collectible. I mean, it's like, oh, the fucking McRib's back or something, right?
Right. And actually it comes from the whole background of brewing and craft brewing.
Sure.
Where you have special one-off beers, you have collaboration beers. So I have hot sauces that are collaborations with breweries. I have hot sauces that are collaborations with filmmakers. Obviously, Linnea's. That Matul's Hammer you have there is the official hot sauce of a movie called Stink of Flesh that was made in Albuquerque back in the mid-2000s. So that's why it's got, New Mexican chilies and Guajillo chilies and stuff like that, because it's specifically made for that movie. And National Bowling Tournament in Hawaii is actually the official hot sauce of Adam the Amazing Zombie Killer, which we just showed at my first film festival a few weeks ago.
Oh,
Um,
dude, that's excellent.
yeah, so I have a lot of those kind of collaborations where it's I work with somebody to make the sauce. And then what was the fourth one you got? Is it buffet for Sheetar or is it nightmare sauce?
Buffet for Sheetar, yep.
Okay. Yeah, so nightmare sauce is one that I just released with a local store here in town.
Okay.
Here in Denver, there's a store called Horrid, and it's Denver's horror shop. So we made their store hot sauce, which is nightmare sauce, which is made with blood oranges. Because Emerald, the owner, wanted to do a Nightmare on Elm Street reference, and then she wanted blood orange in it, so that's what we made. And then
so cool.
she and I worked together, and we have launched a recurring film fest called the Horrifying and Horrifying Film Fest. We had our first one last month, and we're going to have our next one on May 4th, which is actually going to be playing a film with Leatherface, Gunnar
Really?
Hansen. Yes. So we're going to show this movie, Gimme Skelter. It's made in Albuquerque again in the mid 2000s, actually by the same director of Stink of Flesh. And Gunnar Hansen is one of the characters in this movie. He does not play the bad guy, so that's fun. And we're going to do a special version of Matul's Hammer to go with the screening, so we're going to have an extra hot version, NC-17 version called Something Witchy, which is a line from the movie. The film is actually about a guy who thinks he is the illegitimate son of Charles Manson, and he's put together his own family, and they found a small town in New Mexico called Banyan's Cross, population 67, and they're going to kill the entire town in one night.
Oh,
So,
excellent.
yeah, so the movie takes place on the morning of that day as the killers show up in the town. But of course, being as it's a small town, it has its own weirdness going on, and some of which may be worse than the killers. So May 4th, we're gonna show that here, and then our film festival is every 1 to 2 months recurring. So
God, that's
we
cool.
do a feature, we do a block of shorts, we do a couple things of trivia and some giveaways and stuff like that. So it's a lot of
Cool.
fun.
And then, I mean, obviously that can just blossom into whatever it becomes. But I mean, you can have a celebrity in there, do signings or something, even maybe like.
Mm-hmm. So we try to bring the filmmakers in. So with Adam the Amazing Zombie Killer, the one we showed, they are local Denver filmmakers. So the two guys who directed it, and then they brought one of the actresses, came and did a Q&A after the film.
Nice.
We're going to do the same thing next month. The director of Gimme Skelter is in Albuquerque, so we're going to do his Q&A via Zoom. But yeah, so that's one of the things we're trying to do, is trying to bring in the filmmakers, so they can do an intro to the film, so they can do a Q&A after, so our audience gets a chance to ask them some questions about what they just saw.
That's so fun, dude. I appreciate you just doing that too. I mean, like, it just is like, somebody looking for something to do in their own town. I mean, just
Right.
these, it's just awesome. I just feel like not enough people like take the initiative to do something like that, right? And God, I mean, that's freaking sweet. Like, I mean, I'm up in Minneapolis, area, but we only
Mhm.
get one like horror convention. That's it, a year. We've got a couple like other regular, Comic Con type things, but
Sure.
it's like God, dude. I still can't believe that it's so small amount of that for such a, I mean, Minneapolis is still pretty decent, sized and
Right.
so yeah, and they're actually so it's called the Crypticon, and it's fun. It's a great time. They are actually branching out. Actually, tomorrow, they're doing a one night type of thing. So Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp, and then Dave Sheridan, Doofy. They're both coming to town, and they're doing
Nice.
like a little like a meet and greet in the beginning, and then they're gonna do 3 movie showings, and then a little Q&A panel afterwards, and then I think they're doing some in costume photo ops and shit afterwards. But fucking cool, man. I just
Yeah,
like
very cool.
I'm more happy just for the fact that I get to go there to help just buy a ticket and support it and show up, and I just hope
Right.
it's super successful because that just opens the door to, tons of these little one-off events, and
Yeah.
it's just great.
Yeah, and we're hoping to expand the film festival. So like right now we're doing every 1 to 2 months. I'd love to see it be every month eventually. Myself and Horrid, we've talked about maybe next year doing a 1 or 2 day con, like a halfway to Halloween, because
Cool.
that'll be about a year. So I would love to see more of that too. I mean, here in Denver, we've got the Colorado Festival of Horror, which is amazing. And then we've got a couple other smaller ones here and there, but there's not a lot of big fests.
Mm-hmm.
My festival is really taking a lot of inspiration from a group down in Colorado Springs that I actually am the official hot sauce for as well, which is called 6 Feet Under. And they do the same thing every 1 to 2 months, doing a screening and trying to do some trivia and bring in some people. So actually, the last one they did, we screened Troll 2, and we had Darren, the Oh My God guy, there, and I actually make a hot sauce called OMG with his face on it.
Yes.
So got him to do a little promo for me.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I mean, stuff like that I think is great. It just brings together the people who are in the scene, and the more you do it, the more people know it's out there. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's just cool to see just that shit like grow organically too,
Mm-hmm.
So when you do these collaboration ones, like the one you're doing with Quigley there, um, will she like sign some bottles and you sell like autographed bottles too, or is that
I haven't done that yet. She signed my bottle,
uh-huh.
just because I asked her to. I'm like, hey, can you sign my bottle? But that would be a good idea. I mean, like I might need to send her some labels for the next batch.
Yeah.
So
That's sweet.
and yeah, and again, it was the cool thing is like it's an opportunity to actually work with them. So
Yes.
I got lucky enough to meet Linnea because it comes back to the guy who directed Stink of Flesh, the Matul's Hammer Sauce. He used to be her roommate in the 90s.
Ha!
Um,
Cool.
and then she was at that 6 Feet Under Fest that I was talking about that I go to. They did a little summer, like 2 day convention. And I was just talking to her. I'm like, hey, Linnea, I know Scott, your old roommate. And she's like, holy crap, Scott. And, we just talked from there. Um, and I would like to eventually bring on things like that, like having signed bottles. That would be great.
Yeah.
As of right now, I've just kind of gotten them signed for myself.
Sure.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. I was going to ask you kind of the story on how you met her like that. She's kind of
Yeah.
one of the last on my bucket list for meetings. She was scheduled for the Crypticon 2 years in a row and had to cancel twice, just for whatever reasons. I mean,
Right.
shit happens. I mean, it was
Right.
like during COVID times and everything was crazy. But I've got some stuff, man. I mean, again, my collection is predominantly Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I mean, there's crossover there with the Hollywood hooker, or chainsaw hookers and stuff, her and Gunner.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a signed DVD from Gunner of that, and I'm like, dude, she needs to get on that thing.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
and some other stuff. So yeah, so she slipped through the cracks twice, and now I'm like, now it's just like, I'm like, it's like a personal quest. I'm like, dude, I have to meet her, one way or another. So
And she's awesome.
she is okay. So
She really is.
so and I hate when people like give everybody shit when they cancel. It's just like such a selfish thing when you go, oh come on. It's like, hey, dude, these people are, I mean, a lot of these people are going to see their older people too. I mean, for the most part, some of these movies, it's like, give them a break, dude. Sorry, she's not there to sign your fucking toy. Like,
Right, right.
There's more to life than just that. Like, how about you just wish people well first,
For sure. But yeah, I think when you get to meet her, you'll see she's just she's definitely one of the most one of the greatest of the various scream queens, horror people that I've met over the years. Because I did this, so part of what got me into the collaborations and things that I do is I actually wrote movie reviews for about a decade, 12 years or so.
Okay.
And my focus was on low budget movies, like specifically my focus was $100,000 or less. Well, first I said $1 million or less. Then I moved it to 100,000 or less.
Okay.
I think the most expensive movie I ever reviewed was probably about 100,000. But through that, I got to meet a bunch of people And that's where a lot of these collaborations have come from. So, or at least that's where they started. And then I met other people who got me to, things like Linnea.
Yeah. Well, I just think, like, me, I would be so interested, like, if I was in their position, just be like, it's just such a more unique, proposition and a thing, instead of just like a normal, hey, do you want to collaborate on, like, whatever it might be. This to me just sticks out. It's just so cool and out of the ordinary.
Right. And it's fun to, talk with these people and be like, well, what do you want your hot sauce for your movie
Yeah.
to taste like? How hot do you want it? What kind of fruits do you want in it? What kind of flavors? Like, what is it that you're looking for? And like I said, for Linnea, she was like, I want watermelon and raspberry and super duper hot. So in her recipe, in 3 gallons of this, I use 6 full-size watermelons dehydrated.
Whoa.
So it's super watermelon up front. And with the different people I've collaborated with, I mean, that's like the way it works is we really want to make something that kind of represents what it is that we're talking about. So like with Tool's Hammer, again, Stink of Flesh is a zombie movie set in Albuquerque. So we used a bunch of Albuquerque flavors. We used New Mexico chilies and Guajillo chilies and some brown sugar and stuff like that for a national bowling tournament in Hawaii, because it's literally that's where the characters are trying to get to in the movie, and they say it like 6 or 7 times in the national bowling tournament in Hawaii. Well, I was like, well, I already have a sauce called the Burning that's mango and pineapple. Let's just take out all the mango and make it straight pineapple.
Yeah.
And that's what they wanted was, can you make a pineapple sauce that's really hot? And I'm like, sure, yeah, we can totally do that. So it's really kind of cool to talk about, how I can represent your movie or brewery or music or whatever it is that we're collaborating about in a flavor that, somebody can put on their chips.
Right.
So, yeah.
And did you say is that one with Lena, is that one available for people that are watching this?
It will be again soon.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for again, because all of my sauces use all natural ingredients. I'm very seasonal.
Yeah.
So like it's hard to do a watermelon sauce in the winter.
Yeah, right.
So once I get enough good watermelons dehydrated, I will make another batch of it. It just kind of is dependent on that.
Sure.
So.
Dude, so everybody watching, make sure you go follow his page too, so we can stay on top of this shit. Because, yeah, and if maybe a personal, dude, you should let me know when that's available again too, because I definitely would like to pick that thing up too.
I've got about 2 watermelons, so I need like 4 more good ones,
nice.
And then I can start doing the rest of it. And the thing is, like, with that one, it takes a lot of planning because I have to dehydrate watermelons beforehand.
Sure.
Which takes a little while, and like my dehydrator only holds like one watermelon at a time. Because I don't have like a giant, industrial sized anything.
Yeah.
My whole setup still, I do work in a commercial kitchen. I am required legally to do so because I am legal. I have a Colorado State food manufacturer's license. I have all of my recipes are what are called process exempt, which means I don't have to go through the FDA because they fall under certain requirements for pH and things like that.
Sure.
So all of my stuff has to be done in a commercial kitchen legally. So it's not like I can just go sit in my kitchen and, make sauces.
Right.
But I am using what's called a commissary kitchen. So like I don't have my own kitchen space. I go rent it and use it.
Sure.
So it's not like I have a lot of space to set up a giant dehydrator. I have a small dehydrator, So I definitely, I'm looking to make those different things. It just, sometimes it takes me a while because the ingredients, I mean, there's literally, if it wasn't dehydrated, there's literally like 50 pounds of watermelon in one batch. But then it gets dehydrated. So, because otherwise it'd be really watery, which I've done before.
When you first started, this whole part of it, like the actual manufacturing part, was that pretty like foreign and kind of difficult, at least? Like, shit, where do I even source the bottles? How do I learn how to, seal? How do I, learn all that stuff?
Yes and no. Some of it was, some of it wasn't. I did this as a hobby for quite a few years before I decided to try to make it like a job. So I already, had a pretty good feeling about where to find a lot of the different stuff. Now, what was different becoming professional is instead of buying 50 bottles, I'm buying 600 bottles at a time, you know, things like that, which is compared to most people tiny. 600 bottles is like Tabasco would laugh at 600 bottles,
Right.
you know. But for me, 600 bottles is 2 months worth of, or 2 or 3 months worth of sauce.
Sure.
So, yeah, so it did take a little bit of finding the different places, and as I've done this for, you know, about 18 months or whatever professionally now, I've kind of refined those things. So started with one, you know, supplier, moved to another, found better things as I went along. And I'm still finding better ways to do things. Like, you know, I could make a lot more money off my sauce if I was better about finding all of my ingredients in bulk and, you know, things like that. But
Yeah.
as of now, I use a lot of really hard to find ingredients, which doesn't lend itself to be in bulk.
Sure.
You know, I can get things like jalapenos and habaneros. I can go buy 35 pounds of them and it's no problem. But if I want to get yellow Carolina Reapers, or I want to get KSLS peppers, or I want to get, you know, some of these other things that I use, like the bottle of all white peppers, like you can't go to the produce supplier and be like, hey, I need white Carolina Reapers. And you just don't get an answer. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So, yeah. So there was definitely a learning curve there. But the process is pretty much the same, you know, whether you're making a 32-ounce ferment that makes 5 bottles or you're making a 3-gallon ferment that makes 60 bottles, it's basically the same process. It's just, you know, it's going to take you 3 more hours because you have 60 bottles instead of 5.
Right.
So, yeah.
So Johnny Brim, who's watching, he says that he's a peach flavor guy, but as I'm getting older, I have to limit my heat factor. I can do the heat of habaneros or ghost peppers, but once it gets hotter than there, I have to tap out. He says he did the peanut challenge at work recently, and 2 hours later got my gut punch, blood pressure upshot, and even pissed myself a little.
Nice.
Yeah, it doesn't get too pretty when we get a little bit older here, you know.
Yeah, it does. The mind is willing, the body not so much.
Did you get caught up in all the goofball spicy challenge shit? Have you done the one chip? You done the fucking gummy bear, all
No.
that? You're too
Not
smart.
really. It's not my thing. You know,
Yeah.
again, I really like spicy food. Like,
Yeah.
I enjoy when I get spicy food that's so hot that you get the endorphin rush. I'm like, hell yeah.
Right.
You know, like I enjoy that stuff. But I don't enjoy hot just to hurt myself.
Exactly.
Like, that's not my thing. Like, I've never done a pepper eating I've hosted one. I've never joined one pepper eating contest. I will eat my hottest hot sauces that I make, but I will eat them sparingly. You know, I'm not gonna take a half a bottle of one of my NC-17 sauces and just drink it. You know, like,
right.
that's just not my thing. And again, you know, for some people, that's what they want, and totally cool. I can't tell you. Almost, I would say at least 50% of people, when I'm out at an event and come up to my table, the first thing they ask me is, "What's the hottest sauce you have?" Because that's what they want. They just want to get that, you know, show me the hottest. I'm going to show you how cool I am.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Yep.
For me, that's not, like, I'm not impressed. But I do enjoy spicy, and I want to try those hot things. I don't want them to be hot just to hurt me.
Dude, for sure.
So yeah, I don't do any of the spicy challenges. I'm not a member of the League of Fire or any of that sort of stuff, though. Those guys who do all that stuff, you know, good on them. And I mean, honestly, one of my pepper growers is a former champion in League of Fire. And, like, you know, super cool, just not my thing.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
So we got there's this place, this restaurant. It's called the D Spot, and it's kind of outside of St. Paul, and it's like the wing mecca. It's like my favorite place to go to, but it's kind of far out, so I don't get to go that often. But this place, you go, it's like in a strip mall, and it looks like it was decorated by a bunch of frat boys. You go in there, it's just like dark. There's like, you know, like black light shit everywhere. The music's like way too loud, and you know, it's you know, it's a goofy atmosphere. But the chicken wings there, man, there's about like probably 60, 70 different flavors. And
wow.
it's unbelievable. I mean, and I really like a lot of Thai food. I like a lot of curries. I like a lot of, that type of stuff. And my God, just the flavor combinations that they've come up with is it's incredible. And then they'll color code their wings on the different level of, heat to it. And then they got the blue flame is like the death wings, and they got probably 7 or 8 of those, and we've tried them all. But it keeps me coming back because, going back to with what you do here is that there's one they got that's called like the Rogaroo, and it's the most flavorful, amazing thing, but it lights you the fuck up. Like, it's a painful journey, but I keep getting it because it's so good. And dude, I absolutely just love this stuff. So I keep staring at these bottles because I'm like, I'm just gonna fucking crack them open and start just
All right.
trying them, dude. But
Yeah, like I said, I mean, like you were just saying, my favorite thing is when people are like, "Oh, that's too hot. Can I have more?"
yeah,
At Colorado Festival of Horror last year, I was talking with another scream queen that I was trying to get to come on. And since we haven't figured that out yet, I'm not going to say who it was.
yeah,
But I was talking to her, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm right over here because I was just outside of the autograph alley, and I've got these hot sauces, and I'd love to collaborate with you." And she's like, "Oh, I don't do hot at all." And I'm like, "Well, come try my least hot because my
yeah.
sauces are all about flavor, not about burning you out." So I eventually convinced her to come over, and she tried my sauce Momo, which is PG. And I'm like, "See, that's not that bad." And she's like, "No, that's really hot." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Oh,
Oh,
sorry. She's like, can I have more?" And then I was like, "Perfect. That's the reaction. Can I have more?"
yeah.
So, yeah.
The Momo, I
So
saw
yeah,
that
crack them
too.
up.
I got 3 kids, and my oldest Zelda, she's 10. But however many years ago when that Momo thing was the internet sensation that came out, man, that God, it was such a fucking goofball thing. But
Right.
it made me laugh when I saw that you had that as one of them. I almost bought one for her because I think it's still's got some kind of scarring wounds,
I can't tell you how many people have told me I haven't tried that sauce because of the label. So, and funny thing is that Scream Queen that I was talking about, after we were done, she was like, "Okay, I really like that. Can I take one home? But my son will freak out if he sees the label." So we just put a sticker over the front.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't actually have the Momo label on her bottle in her fridge. So yeah, that's actually the only one that's not specifically based on a movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, it's just because that particular sauce is just mangoes and manzano peppers, so starts and ends with M and O, mango manzano,
I love
Momo.
it. That's awesome.
Yeah, that sauce is literally mango manzano, brine, and vinegar, and that's it. There's no other ingredients. It's super simple. So
So how often are you always kind of on the hunt for looking for like, just different peppers and ingredients and things you've never tried before? Or how do you navigate through that?
yeah, so I try to limit myself because I'm always thinking of new things that I want to try.
Hmm.
Um, the problem is every time I make a new recipe that's not a version of another recipe, I have to submit it to the state and I have to pay for that process exemption letter and all that sort of stuff.
Mm.
Um, Sometimes I can do things like you have the burning and you have National Bowling Tournament in Hawaii. National Bowling Tournament Hawaii is a version of the burning, so it's the same amount of this type of ingredients in it. It's just like instead of having mango and pineapple, I replaced all the mango with pineapple,
Sure.
and I took out some of the less hot peppers and put in more hot peppers. So because it's the same ratio of things, I don't have to resubmit it. I can call it a version of the same sauce. But every time I come up with something weird where I'm like, "Oh, I want to try this, make a white sauce," I have to go and get that, through the state, get it approved before I can start selling it legally and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So I do try to limit myself, but this year with doing the film festival, I'm trying as we present movies to do a special sauce for the movie. So yeah, I don't know. I make way too many sauces. I think right now I have like 18 different flavors that I've submitted to the state that you can get. Yeah, there's a lot.
Are they
And the problem is I'm always thinking like, "Ooh, that would be good in a hot sauce. Let me
yeah,
try that
right.
out." So I start doing something weird and different. Like I was just working on one for the guys of the 6 Feet Under Film Fest. I want to make them their own hot sauce, and it was a hot sauce with plantains and bananas in it.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it didn't work out, but we're gonna keep trying it until I figure it out.
That's it.
So,
You know,
and that's the thing with these sauces is like sometimes I try it and the first batch is almost right, and the second batch is the one that I sell to you.
yeah.
And sometimes it takes me years. Like I have a sauce called Pazuzu that literally took me 4 years to get to where it is.
Wow.
The version that you can get now, because I wanted a purple hot sauce that was really purple,
Sure.
but also flavorful. And like, blueberries I knew were always going to be in it, but like a lot of the other things that made it more purple switched throughout the years. So like at one point it had beets in it, which was great color, not good flavor.
Sure.
Now it's watermelon, prickly pear, and blueberry is how I get to the purple.
Cool. Well, and again, everybody too, like he's saying, I mean, if you look at the ingredients list on this, it's just basic. He's not throwing in extra, you're not going to find fucking dyes and whatever just to get there.
Right.
So I think that's that's even more of a cooler, like, just like you're solving a puzzle kind of, right? You're just like, God, how do I get there? That's awesome.
And honestly, a lot of my sauces start with, I want to make a sauce that's this color. What's going to make that color?
Okay.
Not always. Sometimes I'm like, I want a certain flavor, I want whatever, and sometimes it's working with the person I'm collaborating with. But like Pazuzu was, I wanted a purple sauce. What's going to get me to a purple sauce?
Yeah.
Ain't Afraid, I wanted a white sauce. What's going to get me to a white sauce?
Sure.
So.
We got another good question here. Johnny again. He's asking, you ever thought about merging with THC, like using tincture or RSO to blend with a sauce? You get nice flavor, but still sends you to space.
I live in Denver, so obviously it's something I've thought of. There is a bunch of legal regulatory shit that comes with that makes it very difficult. And on the other hand, the reason why I really chose to not even to do that is because how much THC are you going to put in a hot sauce bottle that it's actually going to get you high? How much hot sauce are you actually going to eat?
Yeah.
Just to get high? Like, there's so much easier ways to get high that don't involve you being on the toilet later.
That's true.
Let's just, that's kind of where I ended up with that. Now, that doesn't mean I won't ever do it. Like, I want to do a hopped hot sauce. That's something that I'm working on as well, with my brewing background, and hops and marijuana are in the same family.
Sure.
So if I figure out the hopped hot sauce, then I'll have a basis for a THC one. But
cool.
Again, the regulatory hurdles of making anything with THC in it becomes really, really tough. And also it's just like, it's a 5-ounce bottle. How much THC can you get in there? And then really, how much are you going to drink?
Yeah.
Like,
no, dude,
that's drink a bottle of hot sauce to get stoned.
That's such a good point, right? I mean, because it's like you would think that the entry level hot sauce, enjoyer is probably only going to take a couple of, dabs on there. But then,
I mean, serving size is 1 teaspoon.
Yeah.
36 servings per container. So, like, unless that hot sauce has got a huge amount of weed in it, you're gonna have to take a bunch of servings just for it to do its thing. And then are you gonna buy a bottle of hot sauce that costs $100 because it's got so much weed in it? Like, So again, something I've thought about because I am here in Denver. And seriously, here in Denver, you can go into a dispensary and get weed in just about anything you can think of, from chocolate to popcorn to, subdermal cream to tincture to whatever. So I've thought about it. I don't think it's the right thing for it.
Yeah. I almost kind of think even if I was in your shoes and I do it, it would just be more so as like a gimmick, It was like, let's see, this would probably sell, and then you probably aren't that passionate about that, one compared to the other ones. But
yeah, honestly, like I do a little bit of gimmicky stuff, like white hot sauce, for example, but most of my stuff I don't want to be a gimmick. I want you to go and eat it because it's really tasty and also really spicy. I don't want it to be like, dude, look at this. I got this hot sauce that's got weed in it and nobody else has one.
Yeah. Right.
So, and really the reason I did the white hot sauce is because it's my first anniversary. Like, it's a special sauce. So I'm going to do something special for it. So
100%. I just like, and now just seeing like the wax dipped ones and stuff like that, that just that tugs at my collector side of me where I'm just like, fuck, man. Well, now I need a couple of these because now I could, they look cool up on the
There
shelf
you go.
and it ties
And I do
into,
offer them
you know,
dipped or non-dipped. So if you go to my website and you're like, I want one on my shelf and one for my fridge, you can
yeah.
get one each way. And you know, I even have a video on my Instagram on how to open the wax so that you can keep the wax seal and make it look cool. So
Oh, cool.
yep,
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't when I grabbed the couple off your site there. I was like, I didn't get the wax one because I'm like, I'm gonna crack into them and open them, or whatever.
right.
But yeah, I think it's so cool. And again, it just from being a horror collector, this ties right in with it. I mean, it's like literally I can put this shit on my shelves here, and it
Right.
it makes sense, and it's just so
Yeah.
cool. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah, and that's
yeah.
that's a lot of what I'm going for because obviously I'm a collector. I mean, you can see behind me here.
Yeah.
Uh, I like to have stuff up on my shelves, so being able to have this bottle that's got the wax on there and then it's got some Ghostbusters art, on the front, like
Yeah.
that makes me happy, to see that in my collection. And I do that for other people who have that same, collecting vibe. Um, and that's why I also offer it without, because some people are just like, I just want the hot stuff. It doesn't matter what it looks like. I just want to crack into it. Cool.
Yeah.
Save $1. Don't buy the waxed version.
Right.
So.
And I really, I mean, it's so perfect, your rating, for tying in with that. But I think it's genius, dude. I just love it. It's just such like
Thank you.
it's a perfect way to score. You could have your Scoville units, here it is, but it's just like I don't know, man. What you got going on, it's such a freaking great idea.
Thank you. And the thing with that is, first off, if you want Scoville units, you have to pay money, send it to a lab, they do tests.
Sure.
But then, because all of my sauces are all fresh ingredients, one batch is not going to be the same as the next batch.
Right.
Because if you eat fresh peppers, one time you'll bite into a jalapeno and there's no heat at all, and the next time it burns your face off.
Exactly, dude.
There's just a wide variety of things that can make a pepper hotter or colder. And you never know what it's going to be. So yeah, I could take my sauce and I could pay the money and I could come back and say this sauce has a 62,000 Scoville rating, but my next batch might not be 62,000. Yeah. On top of that, using the MPA ratings, I can be like them and make it arbitrary, and I can just decide what it is, because just like the MPAA, I can just say this one's NC-17 because I feel like it.
Yeah.
I really do put them onto what I think is mild, medium, hot. Like I don't.
Yeah, you're honest about it.
Something's NC-17 just because I think it would be cooler to be NC-17. But like I said, like the MPAA, it is arbitrary. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a great documentary called "This Film Is Not Yet Rated." I highly recommend it. Literally, these people staked out the MPAA to find out how they rate movies, and the answer is they rate them however they want. Huh. So, yeah.
That is interesting. Yeah, I think that Scoville shit too. I think that's only like if you're in the business of trying to make the hottest fucking thing in the world. Like
sure.
Other than that, it's like who gives a shit? To me personally, I just like I'm gonna find out when I try.
I want to know how hot it is. Yeah, but I don't need to know. It's 162,384 Scoville.
Right.
I just need to know it's medium.
Exactly, so. Dude. That's funny. Oh my god. So we got some new ones on the horizon here soon. Hopefully, we'll be seeing the return of the one with Lena. Did you say then too that right now you may have some other horror celebrities in the works, or is there?
I mean, I'm always trying to connect with more people. I am gonna have in either. Well, I'm making a sauce for Gimme Skelter, that movie that I showed you. Like I said, it's an extra hot version of Matul's Hammer for our May show. And then either in July or August, we're going to have another show with a couple of Indiana filmmakers that are coming out here. And we're going to do a special sauce for both of their movies. So one guy's going to be in our shorts, one guy's going to be in our feature. So I'm going to have that going on when they come out here. But yeah, I mean, it's I'm always looking to find people to collaborate with. The more people I can get into my film festival, the more collaborations I can do. But more than that, just as I know people who make horror films, I'm always like, hey, I see you're making a new movie. You want to make a sauce?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of sauce can we do? So.
God, that's cool. Oh man, I want to come hang like next time you're making it. I just love I've always been, really into cooking and just
Mhm.
concocting up stuff like that too. So just to me it's just
Yeah.
really fun. I've dabbled like, once earlier when I was, kind of early 20s. I've made some hot sauces,
Mhm.
myself, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but it was just for my own enjoyment. And it was fucking awesome, man. It's just like,
Right.
I don't know. It's
I mean, bad homemade hot sauce is going to be at least as good as, average store hot sauce.
sure, right?
I'm just going to throw that out because you got fresher ingredients, you've got all that sort of stuff. And then if you make hot sauce and it's bad, then you make it again with changes based on what was not good about it.
Yeah,
And then after a few times, you're going to have hot sauce that's better than what you're going to get at the store. It was the same thing when I was a home brewer. Like, I would make beer and I'm like, okay, this beer is okay. It's not great. But then I would make it a few more times and then I'm like, I would rather have this than what I can go buy at the store. And it's not like making beer is cheaper at home. It's really not.
sure.
But you can be like, hey, try this beer I made.
Yeah,
It's amazing. And I'm not just saying that. People have told me it's amazing. Same thing with hot sauce, same thing with, and if you've got that culinary background, if you know food, then it makes it a lot easier to make sauce that's going to go well with those foods that you like. So,
definitely. So do you think your idea of brewing beer at some point is still kind of on the table? Like, have you ever thought about
sure.
like, maybe instead of starting your own completely, is that like, someday you see you maybe partner up with somebody and
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have my own brewery. Honestly, the last few years in brewing hasn't been great. We've had a lot of breweries that have closed all throughout the U.S.,
mm,
probably for oversaturation more than anything else.
I bet.
But
Yeah.
also, there's a lot more these other beverages that are coming up, like the hard seltzers, the THC drinks, the CBD drinks,
Yeah.
all these other things that are kind of crowding into that market. I would love to make beer. I started homebrewing back in 2008, so I've been doing that forever. I've got some recipes that I really really enjoy, and I've gotten really good feedback, including some awards in homebrewing. So I would love to bring that. And then I would bring that same aesthetic that I've got on the hot sauce. The plan was Horrifying Brewing Company. So, like, my stout was called The Void, and it was artwork from The Void.
Cool.
And, like Outpost 31 Hazy IPA, and it's the thing. So I would love to bring that same aesthetic there. The problem is the price of entry in brewing is just ridiculous. I mean, you're talking a couple $100,000 minimum to get started.
Sure.
Where with the hot sauce, I rent a kitchen and I do it all by myself. I can't do that with brewing. Like
Yeah.
it requires more than one person. It requires a lot of capital to get started. So
That totally makes sense. So
yeah,
when you're talking how, the oversaturation of the microbrews and stuff, how much of a blame is there on the stupid hipster IPA man bun fuckers that have just ruined it for a lot of people? Like,
you know, I don't know. Those guys are in any type of fandom, they're there, right? You've
right?
got those guys in the horror world, you've got those guys in the brewery world, you've got those guys in coffee and whatever. I
Exactly.
don't think they can be fully to blame for the thing. I think the thing is America finally realized we don't have to drink Budweiser and Coors
Yep.
back in the 2000s. Sierra Nevada was like, "Hey, check this out. Beer can taste good." And
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh my god, what?" Um, and then it blew up. So we went from like, I believe in the early 2000s it was less than 2,000 breweries across the U.S.
Okay.
And a couple years ago we had 8,000 breweries across the U.S.
Wow.
That's just not sustainable. Like
Yeah.
it's just too much. Um, and then I think a lot of it is a lot of breweries try not to be just the hometown brewery or the local brewery. They get a beer that does really well and they're like, oh, everybody needs to have this, so let's up our production by 10 times, 20 times,
Yes.
40 times, whatever. And they grow too fast and then they end up shutting down. Um, what I really wanted to do and was kind of basing a lot of my idea on a brewery near where I lived in San Antonio called Guadalupe Brewing. was to be just a local brewery. Like, I didn't want to do distribution. I didn't want to be in stores. I
Yeah,
wanted, like, if you want my beer, you come to my location and you drink my beer,
for sure.
and you can buy cans to take home with you. But that's it. And I think that whole, if you keep it really local and you get those locals who love you and will tell other people about you, you can be sustainable. But 8,000 breweries for the U.S. is just not something that we can keep, and
For
that's why they're
sure.
dropping off, left and right. So
Yeah, I mean, I like the full experience of the microbrews and stuff of being visiting, the and
mhm.
drinking there at their establishment like that.
Yeah,
I don't just
for
seek it
sure.
out so I can, have that at home. I mean, it's still enjoyable, but it's
Yeah,
just a whole different experience to me. So,
it
um,
is, and it's really awesome to be able to go to the place that brewed the beer that you're drinking.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
rather than just going to the store and getting something that was made, across the country or across the city or wherever, where literally I can be like, I'm going to go to Four Noses and pick up a 6 pack of Four Noses beer
mhm,
because it's 20 minutes from my house and I can go sit there and try a few beers they have on tap and then decide which cans I want to take home,
sure.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
So I used to live up in the UP in Michigan for a couple of years. It's actually where I met my wife, and my first child was born there. And they had
I've actually been there.
have you? Awesome.
Yeah.
So they
Went across the Mackinac Bridge and went up to the UP and had dinner on the lake. Yep.
hell yes. Yeah, it's a great town. I mean, it's just the UP is so sparse and desolate. I mean, it's just that's kind of the design of it. But Marquette is
Right.
a little more special because it's got the university there. So, in during the school season, the population's big, and then when it's summertime, it dwindles down to a small town. But because of the college kids there, you get to see all these, mom and pa restaurants and shops
Mhm.
thrive. It's like it almost, you kind of get like a variety of being in a big city, but not being in a
Right.
big city. And
Right.
so there's a couple different breweries and stuff there, but one is Black Rock's Brewery, and I knew the owner, just an amazing, awesome guy, and they bought a residential house right in a perfect spot, and then they commercially zoned it, and then they gutted most of the houses, where all the vats are and all that stuff,
Mhm.
but then or the actual the customer side of it, it's like a house party, man. Like, you're
That's cool.
literally in a house, and then they turn the backyard, they did everything about it right. And they got little music, live music they put in there and stuff. And just to me, it's just such a special feel and like a memory now because it's been a while. But just being able to
Yeah.
just go there and enjoy that, and like seeing the brewer there, and he's pouring you a tap of like what he made, and we're talking bullshit, and then
Right.
you take a growler home or something, and it's just fucking awesome, man. I just,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. I guess that just ties into really what I genuinely like. It's like I always say, I really like to support the people that are making stuff and like the artists and like getting more of the story other than just
Agreed.
like a cold purchase, at a store, and you go home. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a
Yeah.
sentimental sap or something. I don't know. There's something, something in there.
It's like I've had people who tell me I'm a beer snob, and I'm like, I'm not a beer snob. I just don't need to give InBev my money because they've got money from everybody else. I'd
Yeah.
rather give it to the brewery up the street that's actually going to make a
Yeah.
difference. And it's not snobbery per se. It's more just I want my money to go where my money is going to make a difference.
Absolutely.
So I'd rather give it to the brewery that has 100 employees rather than the one that has 100 billion in revenue.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And it's not to say I won't have, one of those commercial
sure.
ones every once in a while too. I mean, it's not that.
Yeah,
It's not a
exactly.
boycott, but yeah, no, it's just, you know,
Yeah, I just don't need to give them my money.
yeah,
That's the thing. It's like
it's
they
it.
don't need my money. The guy
Yes,
up the street who has 6 employees, he needs my money.
exactly. God, I love it, man. Well, again, I'm so happy you came on. I'm so fucking pumped to do this. I was talking with James, and I want to do something. We might film our taste test or something, just to throw that back to you, as you can
That'd be
see our
great.
honest reactions and shit. And
Yeah, be very honest. That's my thing is like if you don't like my sauce, cool, tell me what you don't like so I can make it better
yeah,
next time.
and that's it. I'm
So,
all about constructive criticism. It's not just to be a dick or anything, but you don't just want to blow smoke up somebody's ass and just be like, no, dude, it's all great. Like, no, I mean, there's only, continuous improvement. I really,
Yeah,
you know,
that does a maker no good. Like
right.
for years and years and years before I did this, I was an aspiring filmmaker, still am, trying to make movies. And I would show people my films, and I'm like, "Hey, what do you think?" And they're like, "Oh, it was good." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, cool. What was good?" "Oh, it was good. I enjoyed it."
Yep.
"Okay, what'd you enjoy?" "But it was fun. I liked it." And like that doesn't help me at all.
Yes,
I
dude.
would rather you tell me it fucking sucks, and here's why, than ever just tell me it's good. You know.
Yep.
So
Dude,
yeah, and that's the same way with my sauces. Like honestly, I can't tell you how many times I've taken feedback from random people
yeah.
and made it into things. Like, for example, my sauce Momo is my most vinegar forward sauce. I didn't really think I needed to mention that until I got feedback from somebody who gave it 1 star and was like, "This sauce tastes like vinegar."
Ah.
Yes, it does, but I didn't tell you that before you bought it, so
Yep.
that's my fault. So
Right.
then I changed my description to say this is our most vinegar forward sauce, and no one has had a complaint since then. And if that woman hadn't given me 1 star and told me how much I sucked because my sauce was just tastes like vinegar, I wouldn't have made that change.
See?
So like I'm all about the criticism. So if you guys taste it and you like it, great. Tell me why. If you don't, great. Tell me why.
Yep.
So,
You will get the honest reviews, and then I look forward
shit.
to buying more and more and more, dude. So you and like I say, you got my business, man. I'm already a fan. I'm excited to see what you pump out next. And yeah, dude.
Yeah, this year should be interesting because, like I said, we're doing that film fest every 1 to 2 months, and I am hoping to have a special sauce for just about every one of those uh, fests. So sometimes more than one. Like I said, we're gonna have the one with my friends from Indiana where we're gonna have a special sauce for the feature, which is compression, which is this amazing story about agoraphobia and mushrooms. Um, and then we're going to have a sauce for one of our shorts that's called Barista, so it's going to have coffee beans in it.
Oh,
So
sweet.
one's going to have lion's mane mushroom, one's going to have coffee. Um, yeah, and so I'm really excited about the things that we're going to have this year. Definitely horrifyinghotsauce.com. If you go to my sauces page, I list out all the sauces. If you go to my store page, you can see all the sauces that are currently in stock. And that changes literally weekly as I go to the kitchen every 6 to 8 days and do some sauce making. So
Absolutely amazing. Well, brother, thank you again for being on.
yeah.
Anytime you've got these
Oh,
events coming, please let me know. I'd love to promote it too. Put it up on the page. Talk about it. Go ahead.
since
Yeah.
since you have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre museum, I need to tell you my personal story about Gunnar Hansen
I need to hear it. Let's
before
do
we go.
this.
So again, Gimme Skelter, this movie, Gunnar is in this movie. He's a widower living in this small town. I was the assistant director on the movie. So at one point, we're filming this really heavy scene where he's talking, you find out later, to his dead wife. And like literally, I was in the room when we filmed this, and still when I watch the movie, it gives me like teary eyes because he's that good. So we're filming this heavy scene and we're like taking a break, and it's just me and the director Scott and Gunnar sitting in the room as other people are getting stuff set up out in the hallway. And I'm sitting there holding the boom mic, and I've got the headphones on, and he looks at me. He's like, "Is that thing on?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then he rips the most giant Leatherface fart like ever. Like people in the other side of the house, you could hear snickering. It was that loud. And then he looks at me and he goes, "Did you hear that?" So anyway, Gunnar Hansen was an incredibly intelligent, nice, and awesome human being, and scary as hell. So
Dude, that new documentary just came out too, that Dinner with Leatherface. I
I'm apparently credited on that. Apparently, one of my pictures from Gimme Skelter is in there somewhere. I was
really
looking myself up on IMDb the other day, and I'm like, why am I credited on this movie? So yeah,
excellent.
I need to see it.
Oh, that beautiful. I love it. A beautiful story. Good way to wrap this up, brother. So again,
All
just
right,
you let me know however I can help out to spread the good word.
appreciate it.
I'll be letting you know on this shit. And again, thanks for being on, dude.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
All right, brother. Have a good weekend, man. See ya.
You too. Bye.
You guys need to check this shit out, baby. So again, I picked up 4. Like he said, he's got, 14, 16 different sauces. But dude, the one I'm really excited to try, the National Bowling Tournament Hawaii. And this one is one of the NC-17 rated ones. This one's gonna be fucking fun as hell. The other ones that I got too is the buffet for Shitar. And that one is rated R as well, or it's one step down. I got another one that's R, and then one that's a PG-13. The burning is PG-13. Again, I think we're gonna have some fun and do some sweet fucking taste test videos and watch us fucking cry our asses off with how hot the shit is. So again, if that's anything your guys' deal, I highly recommend checking him out. Again, you know me. I love when we can just promote and talk about something that somebody's just fucking cool as hell like him out there making. Especially like you said, I mean, it's just it's him. He's a one-man band right now, and it's fucking awesome, dude. I think people that can just do everything, just to carry a company, it takes a lot of skill sets and shit. So big kudos to Mr. Ryan. So again, check him out, horrifyinghotsauces.com. And then again, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you see and you want to support the show here on our end, the Space Corps Podcast merch store is always up and open. Stoney's TCM Museum Minnesota shit. I got the Space Corps stuff. Look at all the homies there that are sporting the shit. Love the fuck out of you guys. Again, I appreciate anybody that buys a shirt or something, but please don't ever feel obligated to to do that. But any sale that does happen, I put it right back into the show to get better quality, microphones and video cameras, and just up the production value of the show to make it more enjoyable for everybody. Another big shout out to my homie Brett Gill. I saw you were on here, brother. I couldn't get to everybody's comments. But Brett, he is one hell of a motherfucker, and he just came out with the TCM Fan Club. So please make sure you guys check this out. This is like, I swear to God, this is going to be his life's work by the time he's finally done with it. Constantly adding to it. Everything possible TCM related you will find here on this website, including the fan forum. To me, I fucking love that because I'm an old school internet user before the social media and stuff. We had forums, we had the message boards and shit like that. He's brought back that nostalgic essence and format of a forum, but it's with all new, bells and whistles and features that you find in social media and stuff. Just go there and check it out. You're going to find out what the fuck I'm talking about. But big shout out to Brett. He's fucking amazing. He's doing some really good shit. So I appreciate all he's doing for the TCM, fandom and the franchise and everything. Mark your calendars, motherfuckers. 425 Friday night. That's me and homie J-Bug, Stony and Bugs. We're going to be doing a live horror auction, 7:30 p.m. Central. We'll be coming live from the Space Corps podcast page, but of course we'll be sharing it to all the different groups and all that type of shit. So come check this shit out, dude. Bugs has been showing me all the stuff that he's looking at trying to sell. Holy fuck, man. He's got some dope ass shit. So come spend some money, come and hang out. Don't spend money, don't give a shit. But grow those collections together, baby. I'm all about that shit. What else do we got here? Of course, the weekly sponsor of the show, my homie over there at Slasher Stashers. They are almost at 4,000 members, so go and join that if you haven't been on it already. If you haven't, shame on you, for Christ's sake. Sean Fuller, Michelle, they're beautiful people. I love them. They are true, real good friends of mine. They're doing really good things around there, so make sure you support that. And, of course, Half Moon Designs, y'all know the spiel. Make sure you use that promo code when you go check your shit out. So I got nothing more to talk about, motherfuckers. This concludes the Space Corps podcast for this weekend. I got some big things in the works. Of course, Alan Danziger is going to be on with Ray Spivey. We're going to be talking about the Weed Hacker Massacre. That is in the beginning of May, so make sure you check that shit out. Hammering it out a date with Ari Lehman as well. I got some good shit coming down the pipeline, baby. So make sure you're always tuning in. Subscribe to the Facebook page. I do throw this fucking podcast up on the YouTube channel as well afterwards. So if you can't come and hang out during the live, no big deal. You can then enjoy the podcast at your leisure, whenever the fuck that might be. So that's all I got, baby. Again, this is Stoney coming to you live from the TCM Museum of Minnesota. This is the Space Corps podcast, baby. Have a good fucking weekend, everybody. Much love to y'all. Peace.
In the vast expanse where the cosmos sighs, drifts an ancient tale as old as the skies. A figure from stories now mythified, Space Corps goes orbiting by. He once roamed planets, oh far and wide, but now he floats where the starships fly. No more breath in his chest, yet can't be denied the space cadet who died. Oh, oh, Space Corps, in the void you glide, a spectral waltz in the galaxy's tide, floating free like a cosmic guide. Space Corps goes orbiting by. Galaxies turn while he haunts with pride. No anchor to worlds, just space to bide. Gliding through stardust, no need to hide. This wanderer who never cried. In weightless silence where time collides, he drifts in dreams so amplified. Mysterious tales on mystic rides, Space Corps haunt so dignified. Oh, oh, Space Corps, in the void you glide, a spectral waltz in the galaxy's tide, floating free like a cosmic guide. Space Corps goes orbiting by. Galaxies turn while he haunts with pride. A spectral waltz in the galaxy's tide, floating free like a cosmic guide. Space Corps goes orbiting by.